What's up, everybody, and welcome back to D's Notes. You got me, the one and only Andy. Um, so many notes back from grading, guys. A lot of it's going to go super quick. A lot of it's just like changeover pairs from this collection that I bought, and a little bit more lower end notes that people like to collect. Mostly, different blocks and of silver certificates and stuff of that nature. So, with that, there's nothing but to do it. Still cracks me up, coin inside. So most of this is going to be bulk. You're going to see some good mixes of different types of notes, and I'm going to be oriented just a little bit different than normal. It'll be okay. We're going to open both boxes here. Fresh off the truck, as they say. Hope everybody's doing well. So far, our weather has really been decent this week. All right. So, starting out, hold on here. I'm going to fiddle fart with the camera for 2 seconds. Starting out here, 28B funny back. Reason these are called funny backs is, well, it's pretty obvious. They have a funny back. 64, here's a nice 65. Another 65. 64. Here's a gem 66, really nice. Still has a sheet alignment marker. That's how they would align the sheet up so they could feed it through the machine, for those of you who are curious. Here's just a AU58. Not a mistake. I try to grade AU funny backs. It's just a little bit easier on the pocketbook. So 28B and 66 IB block. Like I said, we're going to go a little bit quicker. Lots of notes to show. Lots of 28Bs. This is all out of one collection. So this isn't a series of different collections. Like I said, I do try to grade AUs. I also try to grade unks as long as they're problem free. This one has light staining. You can see a little bit of basically foxing on the note. So they're not all going to be wins, but a lot of the times, so if these were in a stack of notes, raw, and they sat like this, the bottom note and the top note of the stack will most often paper tone or take the brunt of the weather, so to speak. Another 28B and gem. Moving on, looks like some red seals now. 28C. B A block. 63Q. Tough notes to find with gem centering. 28D, this would be a non-mule in 64. Really nice eye appealing margins for a 64. Really good color also. Sometimes, and I'm not saying all the time, these seals, like on this 28F, they almost yellow orange a bit towards the center. So the best seals for red seals, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, 28A and 28B have probably the brightest red seals. And it drifts a little bit into C and D. By the time you start getting into, G, E, F, you start to see a little bit fading of the red. It's not nearly as bright. 35F star and 66. Here's one in 65. Star F block. Here's one in just 64. The note, just from looking at it, white graded 64, you can see it's a bit chattery around the edges. So It's just, it is what it is. That's just handling. You can see a little bit of the chatter. I was explaining this to someone the other day, and they were telling me I was dead wrong, that that makes the note almost uncirculated, which is untrue because there's no folds. This chatter is actually from being handled in the pack. A lot of times these notes were just a little bit bigger than the rest of the notes in the pack, and they would get beat on. Here's another just 64. This one looks super nice. Let's see if we can figure this one out quick. Yeah, I don't know. Looks like a really nice note. They must have seen something they didn't like. Maybe it has one pinhole. That's always a possibility too. Anyways, moving on. 28 plain. Super tough series for gem. These probably sell immediately when I list them, but 28 plain would be the for the typeset. This is why the reason they sell so quick, because it's probably the toughest note if you're doing a 1928, a 1934, and not doing series. Is my example. 35A, 64Q. A lot of these are so, like a note like this, NA non-mule, backplate 975. It's a very tough note, so that's why it's in plastic. And honestly, just off face margins, I lean a little bit higher on this grade. Personally, I grade this more towards like 65, but you have to trust the gods when you send this stuff in, so it is what it is. You take what you get. 28A, 1601, 65Q. Here's another 58Q. A lot of times on these, it's just a hard corner or a minor bend. Has to do with just how they were handled. Yeah, right there's one of the corners. It just has to do with how they were stored. I can't preach and reiterate that enough. If you're going to buy collectibles and invest in them, storage is essential. 28B, $5 legal tender mule EA block. This is one of the more common mules. You can tell it's a mule, not just because of the way it is, but because this back plate is macro lettering and not micro. I can give you a prime example of micro. See how tiny those numbers are? And see how, here, let's see if we stack them up more like this. You can look through the plastic. See the difference in the sizes? Micro, macro. That's a thing. That's a true story. Bob's your uncle. Bob's your uncle. 1934, $5 silver certificate, star note. It did not EPQ. A lot of these notes over the years have been fiddled with. I believe a couple of these that I sent in for grading I felt were pressed at some point, which in the 1970s was super common because they did not like paperwave. They thought paperwave was not essential. Anywho, moving on, 1934A. Believe it or not, the mule is much tougher. And another side note, nobody cares. So, 1934, 34A, $10 star notes. They're tough, but they're even tougher to find a collector for. So, my opinion, $10 silver certificate star notes are probably one of the most underrated, undercollected item for all series. I think I looked this up one time. There's less than like 400 star notes for 34A between mule and non-mule. Like, that's crazy. 400. Less than 400. That's crazy. I know 400 people that collect. So 28 plain and gem, great note. Another one. 28B VA block 64. So when you see a note like this and you think, why is he grading a VF30 silver certificate. JA block is one of the keys. So JA, KA, and LA, just something I remember. So this is one of the keynotes to the block set. So that's why it's in the holder. Next up, 28 plain, $2.65, red seal, legal tender. And it does have backplate 32, so this is quite a ways into the printing. 35D star note, 65. That's neat. Another 28C, but this one's gem 66. Super nice, nicely centered back. 28D CA block, gem 65. 28G and 64. So I was telling you, I don't know if you guys could see it, but look at the red on the C versus the G. It's obvious. Like when I say they're a little bit more orangey yellow, it's just a freckle. Okay, it's just a okay, but the C's and the D's normally have just a little bit brighter than a G. So, and by the time they get to, you know, into the 53 series, they've got it figured out. So, even here's two different blocks. Look at, this one's brighter. I'm not making this up. This is a thing. Look at the color of your ink, always. 53C star note, 64Q. Ooh, 34C silver cert, 58Q. I'll have to look at my notes, but I knew there was a couple of these that were just on the brink of being overdone. It looks like it was like issued yet, you know, it was put out for issue yesterday. There is a little bit of a corner thing going on right there. Not so much right here or right here, but right in here. 34D. Little bit of minor misalignment going on here, guys. Drop down. It's into the design of the second printing. You see that? And just not really well centered, but 34D, 64, 35F, star, 64, 28 plain, HA block, 65. Great notes. Lots of good stuff to sell here. 28 plain and 64. Just about every block you could want. DA block. Here's another one, IA block. Much tougher block for the series. And then this one is brought to you in the grade of 45Q. So does have some fold lines. Does have a little bit of an ink mark right there. Interesting. Moving on. 34C and 64Q. $10 silver search. One of my favorite series. KD block on the 35B. And thanks to this channel, a lot of the notes that I showed in the last hurrah have actually sold on eBay. So appreciate everybody who went out and bought a note and added to their collection. I don't know if it's the viewers or not. I'm just saying it's nice to see notes find their way through the masses and find a new home. 28A, I'm just looking a little bit rounded corner up here. I'm going to say this is most likely just super handily without having it out of the holder to pinpoint. Looking through the camera. Yeah, a little bit of corner action going on. A little bit of handling right in here. These are all different things you can look for. So, what else do we have? 28A, GA block 65. Lots of funny backs. Wowzers. Funny backs for days. 28A, 63Q. 64, HA 64. What a time to be alive when these kinds of notes circulated. 28A and 40Q. Must be a block thing, maybe? That or I really made a mistake that day looking at notes. You know, I try to look at notes early in the morning because by the time you get to the afternoon, and you've graded a lot of notes, your eyes you actually start almost questioning yourself. Like, do I see something? Do I not? It's a really pretty note for a 58. JA. Still has, I like to show this. See, it's got a green hue to it. And what that's from is from sliding across the other sheets. So super, super original. KA, 28A, 64Q. Pretty redundant. That's why I'm going quick. Not a lot to talk about. I could talk about the blocks a little bit. I could talk about the grades. I kind of show you what to look for as far as like handling, corners, centering, things of that. Here's a 58 flat. Let's see. It does have a couple little specks. We call them carbon, is what I call them. But it does have some corner issues. It does have a little bit of ink residue over here. Just when you grade this many notes, there's going to be some you're going to have some questionable grades. 35 mule KA block, or QA, I'm sorry. The mule and the non-mule are pretty much equal in population, and I want to say there's probably like 30 to 40-ish known in all grades for each block. So, and here you have it. Mule and non-mule. Way different serial ranges. However, micro backplate, non-mule. Macro backplate, mule. So there's that lesson on that series. 35 plain, EA block, DA block. Some of the verbiage used out there is they call these double dates, and the reason is they say series 1935 there and series 1935 here, so it's listed on the plate twice. I don't have any special name for them. I just call them 35 plain. You could see when they progressed, the plate progressed, they ended up putting series over here and removing its verbiage up here. So, different blocks, FA. The most common block, I believe, is AA block, 1935. HA probably would have been my second guess. That's one you see quite often. They don't come with amazing margins and or well-centered. They're kind of tough to find in gem or with really nice centering. So statistically, 35 planes are probably the hardest for gem out of the entire series. And then I would guess 35B would be slightly after that. And I'm just going off of the amount of printing data. I'm not looking this up on a computer and making rationalized guesses. I'm just going off of what I've handled and what I've seen for as far as grades. So nice to make some 5s and some 6s, lots of 3s and 4s. They'll sell super easy. This is one series, 35 plain, FR1607, super tough to do a block set on, especially if you're going to do the mules. The mules will leave you rendered helpless, I do believe. I think the experimentals are more available than the mules. And another fun fact, I've never found a 35 plain mule in the wild. I've only bought them that were in collections and things like that. I've never bought 35s over the counter and went, oh, look, there's a mule. That's never happened. 28B Star, 1602, VF20, just nice circular, even. This is as even an honest circulated note you can get for the grade. 28B in gem, YA block. Another YA. ZA, much tougher block in VF35. Really a great looking note, but it's definitely been, you can see the old fold line there. It's definitely been worked on. Just like I said, a lot of these were, you know, had like this kind of a note. This is kind of got that pressy 1970s vibe to it. Just by looking at it, you can kind of see. So 28B AB block, lots and lots of funny backs. BB block. I promise you there is some more good stuff. Just hang in there with me. It's going to be a long one. You're in it for the long haul, I promise. Next two, I just get to pick and choose. Has everybody got big plans for the summer? Big trips planned? Or my only goal this year, aside from getting our bathroom remodel done, that's been a, 4 years in the making kind of thing. It's been very hard to hire contractors, get the right materials. My goodness, we've had some stuff delivered 3 or 4 times and it's still something's missing or something's not right. We're gonna fly through these. What we have here, guys, these are going to be just 35Ds. Give you an idea, these are all the different blocks and grades. But BF, try to cater to, BG block. Trying to cater a little bit to the collectors. Not a lot of people grade this type of material. This isn't a huge profitable endeavor, and by no means do we make a ton of money on the, like this note here. We actually lose money on. We make $2 to $4 a note on some of these. This one we lose money on. It was just a bad. So I sort these out. You can literally see the fold line in the middle. So I sort these out and I keep them in a sleeve. And then when I get so many a year, I just send them in for grading. But this is more for the collector market, for the guys who are trying to do block sets, EG, FG. There is quite a few block collectors still with us today that are very adamant about getting a nice, well-centered, or just a nice uncirculated example of that block. This also keeps them from having to travel around and go to coin shops and go to coin shows and spend more money on gas and flights and things like that. There's still a lot of guys out there, who like to turn notes up in the raw. Here's 18 subject sheet, and I knew that because GG block, much tougher note. Block was designated, and then you see the face plate and the high back plate number. That's specifically for the 18 subject sheet. So if you've seen before, they were on 12 subject sheets. Then they go to 18 subject sheets. Here's, going back, here's an HF block from 12. Excuse me. But it's good to have a little bit of everything on hand. Creating a new block collector, not only is it challenging, but it's fun. It creates the thrill of the hunt. Ooh, there's a good one, 67. So if you're going to do silver certificates, And you start out and you're going to do a series set and then have a goal. Say, I'm going to collect this series and I'm going to do them all in 65 or 64. Maybe look at the populations and see what's out there. It would be impossible to do them in 67 and 68 just because not all the notes are known. You could do them pretty easily in 65, 66. Budget friendly would be, 63, 64. You'd probably spend $15 to $30 per note. But doing a block collection, while it sounds entertaining, it's more of the hunt that keeps people motivated. You get the KG block, now you're going to need the KF block. And the reasons we have blocks is they're allocations of print runs. So that's basically our government saying, here's some more money and print it. That's the quick and easiest way for me to describe it. But there's 2 blocks of these, or 2 boxes, 2 blocks. They do such a fantastic job of wrapping stuff up. But like I said, you're going to have LF, MF. Now you have narrow and you have wide. So MG. Now here's MG wide, which is a super tough note. Then MG wide. NF, PF. And a little bit of research goes into the blocks. Some of these blocks are more common and some of them are extremely scarce, and that has to do with the allocation of serial numbers. So RF, SF, SF. Just quick. I don't know if anybody noticed, but there was a article just released about the UE block, and yours truly turned that up at Coin Show. There's only 2 known in existence, and it recently traded hands, and I was able to place that note in a collection on the East Coast. So that collector's absolutely stoked. He has one of the most complete silver certificate sets and finest known ever assembled. So, but you can see there's so many notes when you start collecting by block or series and block. But that's kind of what this is. Next up, I think, is all changeover pairs, if I remember right. There's 3 boxes. There was so many changeover. I sent in so many changeover pairs. They had to break them up. They had to break the orders up. They said, whoa, whoa, whoa. This. And maybe I'll just show you one box. So it doesn't, try to keep it under. Just to give you an idea. Oh, one thing I'm going to do this summer. I think I got off track. Other than bathroom remodel. Gonna try to take the kids to go fishing. Haven't been fishing in probably 10 years, it seems like. So what we have here is 35D. Now what you get, and this is something you can watch for in the wild, and I'll teach you what to look for. Here's a sequential pair of serial numbers, and you'll see changeover pair, wide to narrow. And what you're looking for is the backplate number ranges. 4963, 5144. I think, and don't quote me, but I think 5072 is the cutoff for wide. As a matter of fact, I will try to show you on my handy dandy app, US Small Size Paper Money. If you have interest in blocks, changeover pairs, um, serial number ranges, printing data, the small size paper money book, or what I have here is an app on my phone. Basically, I went to Kindle, and which is through Amazon, and I downloaded the book, and it's readily available at my fingertips. So if I'm looking at somebody's collection, or I'm at a show, or somebody walks up to me with a note and I want information about it, I can pull this out. So here it talks about the 57s, 57A, B. I'm going to scroll backwards to show you. So 35D, it's 5017. 35D narrow, plate back number 5017 or higher. So what happened was backplate 5017 was the first time, and they show you. So that's what a wide looks like, and that's what a narrow. You see the gap between the R's? See how much? So what they did was they narrowed the plate up so it didn't take nearly the same amount of space. And the reason for that being is down here. They go from faceplate 7463 or higher, alternating back to 12 subject sheets. And what happened was they were getting ready to move to 18 subject sheets. So, but it'll show you all the block data. So the note that I turned up was a UE narrow. You can see here, this was the only serial number recorded so far when the book was written. And this was the serial number I had for a note. VF, $2,000 choice, So there's actually money in collecting some of the blocks. I think you've seen I had a couple VE blocks in gem. $110 is what the book says they're worth. They're probably retail. This is like a suggestion. So retail's probably $60 to $90 is my guess. However, there are instances in this guide that are a little bit wrong, and I'm going to kind of show you. 35A blue seal, we're going to go here. Late finish plate 470. VF 3500. I believe they sold one here recently for like $7,000. So I believe there's 2 or 3 known, and there's not just KC block. I believe there's JC block as well. But the book's a little bit outdated. So just because a book says X over here, this isn't Bible. You have to do your own research and just kind of get a feel for how it falls. But it'll take you through pretty much every single series. And I'm going to call a vintage notes, okay? Not modern notes. There's a little bit of modern in the book, but it doesn't go through heavily detailed. So like, I'll give you an example. 88A, 88, 85, 81A. So 81 and 81A have mules, but it doesn't talk about them in this book. You have to get a different book. And then there's, it doesn't quite give you a breakdown of serial number ranges. However, there is some books out there that will give that to you. Anyways, the video is probably drawn to an end. I just want to show you, these are all changeover pairs. I don't want to bore you guys to death. I've probably already bored you to death. But this is something you can look for in the wild. This is something you can look for in a collection, or if you're sorting silver certificates and you're putting them in series. Anywho, that's kind of an idea. Use the book. The book will help you. That's all I got. I will catch you guys later. Next video with polar currency, probably a few weeks from recording, probably a month and a half from being released. So hope everybody enjoys their spring. And if you ain't watching YouTube, I hope you're fishing. So get out there and catch some fish. See you guys later. Bye.